Hi, hello, and welcome. I'm definitely not Carl, and you're watching me pug my way to 2.8k rating on a Retribution Paladin in Dragonflight Season 2. In this episode, we're going to try and get a bunch of keys done on 20 on Tyrannical Week, at least the ones that we haven't done yet. So I will waste no time and get into it. From the last episode, we had a 21 Underrot key, which I immediately dropped to a 20 key because I don't want to get any ideas. It's been hard enough to do the 20, let alone the 21. Gonna grab our expirations, put them back on the auction house. Gotta keep flipping greens for gold. We've taken care of reposting our greens. We're going to start creating a group for the Underrot 20. Let's see if there's anyone interested in running with us. The tank and mage insisted, they were pre-made, they insisted on having a shadow priest, so I had to wait a little bit until I could find one. We're going to interrupt that, staying on the fetid maggot for now. We're going to look for the priest. There's the priest. The blood priest, I should say. At 50%, he starts casting Gift of Cocoon. We're going to blinding light this to remove the cast from the fetid maggot. We did kill a bunch of ticks here, so I think we can skip some stuff later on in the dungeon. We'll see how it goes. Our healer went down from the bursting. I think the MD didn't come through, or it was on cooldown at that point. I'm not 100% sure what happened. Stunning the Dark Reconstitution. The priest also tried to interrupt it with his silence. That's good. Means people are paying attention to what they need to pay attention to. Giving the tank freedom. We're pulling the Blood Matron into the next group. Tank's very aggressive with the chain pulling. I'm okay with that. I'm going to use Shield of Vengeance here because I'm being targeted by the mask with the Dark Omen thing. It's targeting me again. We're going to use a Divine Protection here to reduce the damage I'm taking. Dark Reconstitution is going to get interrupted by me. Harrowing should get interrupted. I don't know who's going to interrupt it. Okay, we didn't interrupt it, so it went through, and that really hurt. I was hoping somebody would take care of it other than me because I had to spend my interrupt on the Dark Reconstitution. It seems for the most part we have survived things. I say that as I'm very close to dying from the Dark Omen being cast on me. I'm not sure if it was an overpull or if the group is just struggling to survive in general. I'm trying to hold cooldowns for the boss fight. There we go. We have held cooldowns for the boss fight. Gonna do some off healing before we pull because the paladin is not healing anyone. Using Time Warp on the first boss. Make sure I don't stand in Creeping Rot. Going to drop our beacon to the beyond here. Take care of both the ad and do a bunch of damage to the boss as well. Health bars have been uncomfortably low quite a few times so far. Healer's getting low on mana, but I don't think he's had a break since the beginning of the dungeon, so it's not like he really had a chance to recuperate mana between pulls or anything like that. I'm going to wait until the next blood mirror comes, and then I'm going to drop all my cooldowns on top of the ad's head. We're going to kick the ad. No, we're not, because I have a cooldown. Or did I kick it? I don't even know. I can't tell at this point. Probably a waste of holding ad cooldowns for the ad because the boss is dead. I could have probably killed the boss before the ad mattered, but it's okay. Hindsight is 20/20. Man, I love this mount. Hopefully we don't pull ticks here. It looks like we're not pulling the ticks. Very good. When the little ticks die, they explode and do damage to your group, so they're just a very dangerous pull. On Fortified, they're a nightmare. On Tyrannical, you can sort of survive it if people use defensives. Looking to interrupt the Diseased Lasher unless we pull something more dangerous. Okay, somebody else interrupted it. That's good. We seem to be pulling a Blood Swarmer, so I'm going to look at the Blood Swarmer for an interrupt because its thing is an AoE damage ability. I'm going to use Shield of Vengeance because I'm being targeted by this. I'm going to drop all my cooldowns here just to take care of the Blood Swarmer quickly. Hopefully we do get an MD. Worst accident we didn't get an MD. That's kind of rough. Okay, we're looking back at the Blood Swarmer again. I should also pay attention to the fetid maggot to make sure that I interrupt it. Maybe I shouldn't be warming up with a 20. I'm definitely a bit slow both on the commentary and the gameplay. Stunning the fetid maggot to make sure that he gets interrupted so he doesn't cast his shit. Giving the tank freedom. Using Divine Protection to reduce some of the incoming damage. We're going to blinding light to make sure that maggot cast doesn't go off. I'm getting my ass kicked by this guy. We're going to try and kite it. Nothing's really slowing it. We're going to kick it. Okay, the mage kicked it as well. Incapacitating Roar. Interrupted the fetid maggot. I'm trying to survive here. I'm just going to kite this thing because I'm not getting enough heals to actually just sit there. The healer is definitely struggling to keep us all alive. I'm not sure if it's because we're doing some crazy pulls or because he's just not able to do it with his item level or something. I don't know. Like, I don't know what the reason is. I've seen paladins with lower item level do a lot more healing, so I don't know. Dropping all my cooldowns here, I'm just going to hope that we get an actual MD this time, because a lot of these will be dying at the same time most likely, and we'll probably need an MD to help survive. Using a Shield of Vengeance because I have the dot on myself. I interrupted the Blood Swarmer to make sure that doesn't go off, because if it silences the guy who needs to MD us soon, well, I guess not soon, because we're not really killing these particularly quickly, but I'm going to stun the fetid maggot. I don't have anything. I did have Blinding Light, but somebody else took care of it. For the next one, I can use Blinding Light. I'll use Blinding Light here to make sure that we don't get the fetid maggot cast off, because that would really hurt. If it hit someone, it would probably kill them. And by probably, I mean definitely, because that thing is just a mini nuke. We're gonna kill it before it ends its cast. We're gonna give freedom to the tank and myself, trying to not stand in shit. Use lay on hands on the paladin because he got really low, and there was bursting going through, so I'm not sure if he was going to survive or not. We have a stun available. We'll stun the fetid maggot soon. Right about now. There we go. Okay, somebody has a disease on them. The priest. We're going to dispel the priest because the stun lasts for 25 seconds or something like that. I don't have anything for the fetid maggot, but the tank does. We're grabbing an extra 3 lashers. I'm gonna bubble here. I don't want to die here. There's no reason for me to die here. Some casts went through that definitely didn't do us any favors. One of them was the stun. The blessing of freedom, because I can tell that I have entangled, even though my camera is really zoomed in. My spidey sense was tingling. The tingle tangle. Okay, we got an MD. Wow, I think that's the first one I've seen. I'm sure that there have been more of them, but I think that's the first one I've noticed. We're gonna go and do the 3rd boss, and then we're gonna come back to the 2nd boss and use Bloodlust on the 2nd boss. Tank went and grabbed the next group. You're going to interrupt that Wicked Frenzy. I don't have an interrupt for Echoes. Hopefully somebody interrupts it. Nice. The priest was on top of it. That's very good to see. I'm going to drop all my cooldowns on this group. Then I'll recover on the next group, and we'll have cooldowns available again for the boss, I believe. 4 stacks. MD would be nice here. It was late. That's okay. We're going to try and do some off healing while we wait for the group to group up. All right, I'm going to look at the X one. I'm going to hold my interrupt for as long as I can. The top priority interrupt is the curse. I don't care about any of the other interrupts. I'm just going to use my cooldowns here again. Okay, I'll get this one. I'm glad I held and didn't reflex kick because the priest was on top of it. Priest has been very good about interrupts. They've been using their silence very often. It's usually not the case because most priests don't have a habit of using it because it's such a long cooldown. I think it's 45 seconds. So if you have to interrupt only once every 45 seconds, how much practice can you get in interrupting anyway? I don't have my bubble available, so we're going to have to be careful here. I'm going to have to maybe soak a few of these and then just use my disease dispel on myself. Give me the tank freedom. The priest got killed by the smash. We're gonna battle res the priest. I'm guessing this would be a good spot for me to drop this. I'm going to shield the vengeance here and get knocked up and hit by all of these. Gonna fucking cleanse myself so I don't die. The mage went down. We're gonna give the mage a battle res as well. Hopefully we don't have to use any more battle reses for this fight because otherwise it's gonna get really hairy. I'm going to grab 1, 2 of these, dispel myself, drop this, try to put this on top of these. And then the tank can take care of the rest of them. Okay, that was a bit hairy because I didn't have my bubble. For the next one, I will have my bubble available. The paladin needs to start actually using his healing abilities because everybody's health bars are very low for a very long time. That's not a good sign. You don't want a healer to be doing that to you. I'm going to stand over here and do our DPS abilities. The mage should be going further away from us because now we just didn't clear as much stuff as we could have. That shockwave only cleared 3 mushrooms. We have our bubble available. We're going to use our bubble and just going to clear this just to reduce some of the stress I'm feeling right now. Okay, now I feel much more comfortable because I don't worry that we're gonna fail to clear these mushrooms. There's another shockwave coming through that'll take care of the 2 that are in front of the boss. The mage or whoever it was cleared the rest of the mushrooms. Now we have cleared all the mushrooms. When he casts this thing, I'm gonna use Shield of Vengeance. That way I negate the damage coming from that. The mage doesn't know how to avoid the spores. I have run out of battle reses for you, friend. There's no way I can help you anymore. Trying to find a good spot for this. It's gonna be right here actually. I'm gonna use Divine Protection to remove some of that damage. We're going to eat 1, eat 2, then disease the spell ourselves. Make sure we don't get hit by anything here, otherwise we're going to get murdered by the spores. Okay, another upheaval. We're going to put it right here. Trying to focus that. Hopefully the shockwave takes care of all of those. Okay, good. We're managing to do it. It's a bit touch and go, but we're managing to do it. I'm just constantly afraid of dying because I'm just not getting much heals from this paladin. I'm looking at the health bars and people are just constantly low and not being topped off very quickly. The paladin is almost never in melee range either, which is concerning considering that's how he would be generating holy power, at least partially. I don't know. I don't know much about healers, but I just know that I'm not getting much healing and that it's stressing me out. I'm gonna give the paladin a cleanse. I'm just spending more time managing these fucking mushrooms and the diseases than I am doing anything else. Boss is luckily almost dead. We're gonna drop this thing on his head, the Beacon to the Beyond. Okay, tank is gonna get disease dispelled because he has 2 dots on him. I didn't want him to have to suffer through that damage if I can remove them with just 1 global, so I may as well do that. Tank has another 2 diseases on him. I think he can survive that though, and the boss is almost dead. I'm not gonna use my cooldowns here. I'm just gonna stay in melee range. I don't care. Even if I get knocked up by this, I really don't care. I just need to kill the boss before he kills us. There we go. I don't know, maybe I'm being too harsh on the paladin, but I just feel like I'm never quite safe. Alright, the mage says 1 minute cooldown on the Bloodlust. I'm assuming he has this stupid talent that lets him use it for himself while he's sated. Trying to make sure we take care of all of those. Tank's going to turn it around the other way. We're in digestion. That's good. Going to try and help the tank clear out these. And then we're going to try and bait it, I guess, up here, because there's going to be another charge before the tantrum comes through. Charge is going to go down the middle. Entangling coming through. We're going to give the tank this. By this, I mean Blessing of Freedom. And we're going to use the rest of the Blessing of Freedom to try and stomp out as many of these as possible. I'm going to give myself more movement speed with this. Try and take care of any of these that are not close to anyone else because I have the extra movement speed. There's another charge coming through. Ole. Get out of here. Trying to stomp on these little things. Indigestion coming through. Giving tank freedom. Tank is going to stomp the rest of those little things on the ground. I'm going to drop our beacon to the beyond on top of this guy's head. I didn't really make use of the bloodlust, I don't think, unless they just popped it. I haven't been paying attention to when the bloodlust was popped. I'm just going to let them take care of that. I'm going to stay on the boss and keep doing DPS. My DPS has been, I believe, atrocious this entire run. I'm going to use Shield of Vengeance here to mitigate some of this damage that's coming through from the tantrum. There's a charge going down the middle. Hopefully it doesn't murder anyone. Very good. There's a blood tick. I'm going to try and focus the blood tick down because the blood ticks do a stacking bleed debuff. We don't want that to kill our tank. There we go. We killed it. They do explode when they die. I think the charge is coming through next, so I'm going to stand over here. That way the boss doesn't move very far with the charge. That's perfect. Keep him still. Here's the tantrum. I'm going to activate our movement speed ability. There we go. Divine Steed. I'm going to keep going in that direction. Use Divine Protection to reduce some of this damage being done from the tantrum. That tick is going to go through most likely, unless... Ooh, yeah, boy, got it. There we go, no ticks. Even though the boss is almost dead, so I could have probably let that tick go through and just focus the boss down, but I didn't see the health bar on time to make that decision, unfortunately. And that's the second boss. Okay. The third boss was a bit, iffy because we used 2 battle reses and then had someone die. The mage just kept standing in the spores as they came out. And I love this giant dog mount. It's so cool. It's a steel-bound harness. Blacksmiths can make that mount. It's from Legion. Grave Chill, one of the, at this point, long-time viewers of the channel. I say long time as if I've been making YouTube videos for years. I'm interrupting that curse. I don't care about anything else. I just want that curse interrupted because if the Shadow Bolts don't kill us the first time after we get cursed, they're gonna kill us for sure. I'm just gonna stun this thing. There's no reason to let it keep casting. Giving the tank freedom so he doesn't have to move. Still looking at the thingy thing. I want that curse interrupted. Very good. It looks like 3 people at the same time all used interrupts to make sure that the curse doesn't go through. We're looking at the grotesque horror. I'm going to save my Wake of Ashes to interrupt the Death Speaker when he does his cast because I can stun him because he's undead. There we go. The bear was on top of it as well, so I don't have to worry too much. Give the bear freedom so he doesn't have to move. And drop all my cooldowns here. I don't think that's an issue. Dark Echoes interrupted. Make sure that doesn't go through. It's a bunch of AoE damage. There's a bunch of bone shields coming through now. We're not going to use MD on those because we need MD for the bursting that we have to take care of after these guys are gone. We're going to use Beacon to the Beyond here. There's a couple of tentacles next to me from the Faceless Corruptor. We're going to use Freedom to let the tank not move, but he's going to move anyway. But then at least I don't have to move, so fuck it. There's the MD. This time we actually got one. We are switching to the Grotesque Horror. We're going to cleave the big guy. Maddening is on me, so I need to move. Okay, there we go. Ole. Yet again, we're going to interrupt the Dark Echoes. Give Freedom to the tank so he doesn't have to move. He's going to choose to move anyway. I don't think he understands how freedom works. Maddening is on me again. I stood in some tentacles, unfortunately. I'm going to save my cooldowns for the next group. The next group has 2 of these bad boys and a worm, and we want to blow that worm up right away so we don't have to keep interrupting it. All right, we're looking at the worm. We're going to drop literally everything on top of it. Oh, there's a worm that got pulled all the way in the back. I don't have any CC for that worm. I'm going to bubble here. I'm going to lay on hands on the mage so he doesn't get killed by the next void spit or something. We're going to stun this thing just to... Oh man, it doesn't seem to be casting anything. Not sure if hitting us. I'm not actually sure if that worm is hitting us because it doesn't seem to be casting anything. Trying to avoid all these tentacles. Also managed to avoid the frontal cone that fears. Okay, that was a bit of a shit show because I saw that worm in the back. I saw that he was doing Dark Echoes and we were definitely getting wiped out by the echoes, so... But now he's chilling, and we have percent, so I don't know if we need to go back and deal with the worm. Looks like we're good, and people have managed to run back. There's one person who's still running back. It's the priest. Okay, very scary run so far. Lots of low health bars. Everyone is here, so we can actually just drop all our cooldowns. Hopefully people know how to position. I'm going to keep giving the tank freedom here, so he doesn't have to move. Okay, while expulsion is going that way, that means we move this way. I'm going to stand right at the edge of the spores, keep standing there. If the guy targets me, all the spores are going to go behind me. I'm going to stand over here so that people get closer. These people need to move into it. They didn't. Whatever. That's their issue. We are pointing it at the wall. That's not ideal. That's BFA tactics that have been improved upon. You're supposed to point it at something else. The reason you don't point it at the wall is because you will bounce them off the wall onto the ground. That's exactly what happened here. I need to stack up with this person. I'm just going to follow their lead because I can't really do much else. I'm going to battle res this priest, though maybe I should have kept it for something else. I'm going to pop another set of cooldowns. This boss is always a shit show. It's even worse when I'm not tanking. While explosion coming through. Again, it's pointed at the wall, so it's going to bounce off. It worked out this time. Not as much stuff went into the wall. I think the priest accepted a res and then immediately died again. I don't know. I'm going to use some self-healing because we're getting pretty low. We need to stack up for that. We need to move to the right, so we continue to stay stacked. There we go. That worked out. I'm going to try and bait it towards the zones again instead of the wall. I'm going to just hit those spores in the back to make sure that they don't reach us. If they reach us, we're probably dead. I need to go over there quickly. Okay, I managed to get there on time. Accidentally hit a spore with a verdict, but that's okay. I'm going to turn around and hit all the spores, make sure they don't reach us. Judgment should take care of the next ones. We're pointing the vile expulsion into the middle of the room. Not ideal, but we'll make it work. Actually, it doesn't really bother us at all. I'm going to give freedom to the tank. I'm going to use Divine Toll here. I need to turn around and hit those spores, otherwise I'm going to kick the bucket once they reach me. Okay, we're again managing to bait the thing into the zones rather than the wall, because if it goes into the wall, it'll bounce off and hit us again. DPS is very low because we are one man down. We haven't... Okay, there's the second infected. We have plenty of time, luckily, but hopefully we just don't wipe. That's what I'm worried about right now, is wiping. Freedom to the tank. Try to bait it into the zones that exist already. I have 3 stacks. I'm going to bubble, and I'm going to lay on hands. No, I'm not going to lay on hands. That's a reset. I don't think I can solo this DPS, especially not after I failed to give my friends the spell. Need people to stack on me. Give freedom to this guy. Yeah, the paladin is being criticized by the priest or by the mage. And I'm going to ignore. Can I ignore? I died because I was trying to ignore someone who's spamming in chat. Now I can ignore them in peace. Oh god, why? I don't know. I really shouldn't have died there. There was no reason for me to die there. I've just been flustered because there's people constantly dying because they're not getting enough healing. This paladin definitely didn't play well, but what can you do? You can't tell how someone's going to play when you're looking at the group finder. Although one thing that definitely threw me off is the fact that people kept pointing the thing at the walls instead of pointing it at the existing zones. That's just a mistake. That's just an outdated tactic. They're doing it slowly but surely. 20%, 12 more percent, 1 minute to do it, 4%, 40 seconds to do it. All right, there's infected. The NPC is going to start roasting the fuck out of the little things. We have 20 seconds. Come on, NPC, roast them. Roast them nice and good. There's the other one. Roast him. Fucking beam his ass. Take him out. There we go. Easy. Easy. I'm going to immediately ignore the druid because I can already see he's going to start talking shit about the paladin again. I did not need to die there at the end. I did not need to ignore the mage in the middle of that. I was just worried that they were going to say something very, very offensive and that I was going to see it in the chat bubbles. I think I might actually just disable chat bubbles, but that's going to be problematic because if I see, or not see, but if I don't see something important being announced in the chat because I'm missing chat bubbles, that might be an issue because a lot of add-ons like DBM will make you say things like when a certain debuff is expiring or something and you have to move away from someone or move to them or whatever. You know what I mean. There's a lot of tactics where it helps to see the chat bubbles. Let's see what we got. We got nothing. Well, honestly, I don't care. We got our 20 timed and that's all I really wanted. We're gonna... No, we can't do that while the challenge is active. Whatever. We're gonna Hearthstone. What key did we get? We got a Neltharus. A 20 Neltharus. Whoo boy. Okay. Well, at least I had my Underrot warm up. So I'm going to go into the Neltharus and I'm not going to be quite as rusty. I'm going to drop that to a 20. I don't want to do that on a 21. It was hard enough to do on a 16 with a group that was actually trying. So let's talk to Lindormi, drop that key, and start creating a group for it. All right, we're going right first, letting the group know that I'm going to freedom the tank every entangled. I'm just not going to use any DPS here because we're going to use chains. Hit the little phoenixes over there. Blinding light to interrupt those spears so these guys keep moving. Interrupt that to keep this guy moving. We all use chains at the same time. There we go. Dropping mine. Lahar wasn't in range for that, unfortunately. We're going to drop all our cooldowns here. Finish off Lahar once the rest of them die from the chains. Okay, that was a good execution for the first pull. I love that. And I love grabbing the chains first. It's a good use of chains because you're going to be gone from the chains for a long time. So you have time for this burning chain debuff to go away. And then you can do another big pull once you get back to the chains after the first boss, or rather after the elephant boss. You don't necessarily have to do the boss boss first. You can go different ways in this dungeon. We're looking at the Thaumaturge. Going to beacon here. We're looking at the Thaumaturge to interrupt them. I'm going to beacon again now because I had to move to cast because of an AoE. Thaumaturge is just not going to cast anything. We're just going to drop all our cooldowns here because it's a nice sizable group, and I don't want to get into analysis paralysis of when I should be using my cooldowns and when I shouldn't, especially whenever there's like 5 or more mobs. It's not a bad time to use it unless all of the mobs are very, very low HP or very, very squishy to begin with. We do have double MDs available, so we'll be taken care of. I think this is the first time we're going to consistently get MD taken care of, or sorry, bursting taken care of. I'm going to stun this just because there's no reason to let that damage go through. I'm going to be looking at the star marked Thaumaturge to make sure that he gets interrupted whenever he casts his thing. You don't want them turning the Aurum elementals into anything. Okay, make sure to give the tank freedom because I said I would. Now I'm committed. I'm under contract. I must do so. Blinding light for that one. I didn't have anything else to use. I'll have an interrupt available soon so that I can use. I'm going to try and finish one off before that goes. Okay, somebody else got it. Nice. I like this group so far. Definitely enjoying it. Using cooldowns again. I'll probably have them back up by the time we're at the boss. I used a final reckoning out of sync from the Avenging Wrath, which is never a good look, but what can you do? Sometimes you just gotta yeet it ahead of time. Obviously, I didn't do it intentionally. I just wasn't aware that my Avenging Wrath was not back up. Lots of interrupts going off for the Thaumaturge. That's good. It's good to see. If you wonder how I know, I have these little interrupts on the side here. I knew that the DK had one available, so I wasn't stressed out about that, because the DK has also been interrupting stuff, and I love seeing it. We do have cooldowns available soon. We'll be able to use them on the boss. I'm not going to use them on these mobs because they're almost dead anyway, so there's genuinely no reason to use the cooldowns there, even if there wasn't a boss coming up. Here we go, 4 stacks. MD is going to come through. Yes, there it is. We're going to do some off-healing here so that the healer doesn't have to spend as much mana. He could also be drinking if he needs to. Okay, we're waiting for Magma Tusk to move over. Alright, and now's a good time to... Okay, they already used drums, so I was going to say now's a good time to use drums because I set everything up for myself, but somebody already used it. Blazing Charge is going very, very short range, so we got to be careful about the lava coming out. We're going to give the tank freedom so he can move from entangling and also get out of the lava. I'm going to just use my Shield of Vengeance here. I should have used it a bit quicker, but I had my global cooldown going, so I couldn't actually use it on time. Drop my beacon here, had to move from the swirly. Blazing Charge coming in on the Shadow Priest. We're looking for the lavas. There we go. There's the lavas. The lavas? The lavas sounds weird. A plural of lava. The lava waves, I think, would be the way I should say that. Tank is no longer moving away when he gets entangling. He now trusts me. That is good. We must not betray his trust. We must keep giving him Blessing of Freedom. Going to use Divine Protection here. I again didn't notice that the... Ooh, did I just bait that in the completely wrong direction? Ooh, okay. Okay, I wanted to lay on hands the priest, but he saved himself quickly enough. We're just going to make sure nobody's behind me like that. I am low HP, giving the tank freedom. Make sure I use it and move out of the swirly. I feel slow. I feel like I'm slowly reacting to things. I'm not doing the mechanics as well as I thought I would. I was out of position for baiting the charge. Shield of Vengeance for the volatile mutation. Let's focus up. I think I'm trying to commentate a bit too much and not trying to play enough. Blazing Charge is going to go in that direction. That's good. I have time to move out of the lava waves. Oh, Jesus. At least I didn't say lavas this time around. Going to give the tank freedom so he doesn't have to move. Looking at health bars here, they're kind of low. Should be able to finish the boss off before he does another volatile mutation, I believe. Very good, we are. That's good. That's less healing for the priest to do. Do I get a... Yay, I get the... Yay, levitate. I don't have to run around. I should have used my Divine Steed to float further. Oh, nice. I got yoinked forward. I'm assuming there's going to be a big pull, so I'm just going to hold my DPS so I don't rip aggro while the tank is trying to gather everything. Yeah, the priest says big pull incoming, so I'm not going to hit anything so I don't rip aggro. There's no reason to hit things because we're going to kill most things with... I'm going to give the tank Blessing of Sacrifice and use Shield of Vengeance here. Is the tank stopping? He's not stopping. He does still have... I'm going to Blinding Light here because I saw some Binding Spears. We're going to drop that Magma Fist. Stun freedom here. We're gonna help the tank out by grabbing 2 extra ones. We're just gonna group everything up. Why not? Giving lay on hands to the tank. We're gonna start using chains here to stun things just so we have less shit going through and hitting us. Those MDs better be ready. 11 stacks. 11 stacks of bursting. I'm going to bubble. Okay, the MDs came through. That was a panic bubble if I've ever seen one. Oh, this thing's not even dead. What the fuck? I'm just trying to res. I thought everything must have died there. Okay, we're gonna kill this and then we're gonna res the other person. That was ridiculous. I love it. That was actually really fun. I love that. That was so much fucking fun. Some people hate the Neltharus chains. I'm kind of cool with them. Like I don't mind the Neltharus chains. I wish they were explained better so that more people know about the chains, because oftentimes in lower keys people won't know about the tactics regarding chains, and then you're just gonna have a hard time getting them to do the tactics. So you just can't really even count on chains being used in lower keys. Grounding spear over here. I'm going to move forward, but I'm not going to be the one to do the first break. I'll let these two breaks go through. Okay, it's one at a time. I'm just moving so that the tank, if he wants to, can break. Okay, waiting for the debuff to run out. Now we're going to go ahead and stun him now that the debuff has run out. I used my Shield of Vengeance there because I thought I might get hit by one of the swirlies that would have finished me off on top of the debuff and everything. Give freedom to the tank because the entangling popped out, and now we have a full set of cooldowns to commit while we have time to DPS him. That's perfect. That works out so beautifully. It's not like it's hard to plan Red Paladin cooldowns. You just press them when they're up because all of them are 1 minute at most. And if you're doing pure single target, they're actually 30 seconds, with Avenging Wrath being the 1 minute one. So you just literally just use them whenever they're up, and it's perfect. Give Blessing of Sacrifice to the Shadow Priest. Oh, I got killed because I was standing in the circle like a dum-dum. I mispositioned there. That's completely on me. We don't actually have... Oof, the fucking DK went down as well. I think I died before I got my chain off, actually. Oh no. Did I just fuck my group? Let's see if the priests can keep them up. Oof. Oof. He's keeping himself up. That's good. Nope. No, he's not. That looks like a reset. Might be. That was completely my bad. I did not need to die there, and I died there. Ah, man. I was just trying to... I don't know. I don't even actually know what I was trying to do. I just fucked up. I'm gonna have to make sure that that doesn't happen again. I'm going to try and give Blessing of Freedom to the priest that's kind of behind us, because we're not fighting anything right now. I don't need to save it for the tank or entangling. There we go. Blessing of Freedom. Speed that guy up a little bit. Ah, the DK says no worries. Thanks, bud. I appreciate that. Love seeing positive and reassuring attitudes. It is a breath of fresh air after the 17 Neltharus that I had, where people were just flaming each other for the entire dungeon and then ended up quitting, even though it was a perfectly timeable dungeon. Okay, we're going to focus up and try and actually do this properly this time around. I'm not going to fuck around when the chains are going through. There's the grounding spear. I need to move away. Moving forward, but not moving towards the boss. One chain has been broken. Fiery focus. I'm just standing here and letting the tank decide when he wants to do that. I'm glad I used Shield of Vengeance there because I got hit by a swirly because I wasn't paying attention. There we go. We broke the final chain. He's stunned now. I don't care if I can't hit the boss during the chain thing. I'd rather lose some DPS than die and then lose another fucking pull and time. One chain down. We're looking at the Shadow Priest. Gonna give him that. Shield of Vengeance. Try to keep myself alive. Just trying to position out of the swirlies. Need to stun the boss. Those swirlies are giving us hell. Looking to off heal. Okay, we made it through. Okay, I didn't need to off heal either. Good. I'm just trying to survive this because this is rougher than I expected it to be completely honest with you. Almost have another set of cooldowns available. I had to shut up and focus there because I was just not performing well. On the first boss as well, I had some mispositioning issues. I'm a little bit too distracted. This is a bit harder than tanking for some reason, or maybe I'm just having a bad day. Because sometimes you just do have a bad day, and that's normal. That's okay. Third grounding spear. I don't think we should actually break these. I'm going to leave it up to the tank whether or not he breaks those. He doesn't seem to be. We broke one. So I don't know if he's going to want to break another. We can kill him before that ends. I'm leaving it to the tank to break my chain when the debuff expires. Okay, debuff expired. We're going to stun him. I don't know if we needed to stun him or not, because when Fiery Rock expires, by the way, it puts a massive dot on you that you're really not meant to survive unless you have a bunch of cooldowns available. Here I believe we're going to be doing another big pull with chains. We're going to use Shield of Vengeance here because I got hit by this bleed. It does quite a bit of damage. It almost took out my entire Shield of Vengeance. I almost ripped aggro there. I did rip aggro. Shouldn't have even hit them. Should have let the tank just gather everything up. Still waiting. There's no reason to DPS because all of the damage can be done by the chains. DPSing, all it does is it gives me a chance to take aggro. I'm going to Blinding Light here to just interrupt everything. I'm going to kick this. Okay, we're going to start using chains here. I'm going to use the first one to stun everything. One guy did get out of it. We're just going to start DPSing him because he might be low. I'm going to... Ooh, do I need a bubble? No, I don't think I need a bubble. Okay, I was just afraid for my life again because of all the bursting stacks. All right, it worked out. I think we did everything okay. Okay, the bursting's coming through. I'm just going to give myself a bit of a heal because I think both MDs were on cooldown. Actually, no, one wasn't, but we got that just now and we're good. I'd rather focus on just keeping myself alive than doing a bit of damage that's completely unnecessary because the Neltharus weapons did everything. Okay, the DK's pet actually pulled aggro there. That's unfortunate. We'll say it was for percent. Fuck it, we'll say it was for percent and it's fine. I got hit by the bleed, so I'm just gonna use Shield of Vengeance to absorb that bleed. Just DPSing this slowly as it comes up the stairs with us. Okay, tank's already pulling stuff over here. Gonna give him Blessing of Sacrifice because he's taking quite a bit of damage. We're gonna use Divine Protection to absorb some of that damage. The thing that the Iron Torch cast has been kicked, so I'm just going to kick one of the melts. I'm going to save my Blinding Light here because I want to use it on the next group. We're going to kick that thing. Priest. The Healer Priest is running low on mana, actually. MD coming through. I have 4 stacks remaining because it was too far away from the MD. That's my bad for not stacking on it. The tank Freedom. We're looking at the Bone Splitters when they do the Dragon Bone thing. I really want to interrupt them. Dragon Bone is coming through. One. The other one wasn't being cast yet. The other one we're going to have to stun. With their Hammer of Justice. There we go. Okay, we're going to drop all our cooldowns here. I'm very afraid of these Dragon Bone guys because they're bleed does so much fucking damage, it's ridiculous. Okay, I don't have to worry about the interrupts here. One Dragon Bone thing is going to go through. I'm looking at who it's on. I can't actually see. I can't tell. I'm trying to not die to things. I'm looking who has the bleed so they can give them Blessing of Protection, but I don't think I'll need to. Luckily, DK interrupted that because I was slacking. I was trying to look at shit on the health bars. I'm trying to do a bit too much utility and a bit too little damage. Not that I'm doing low damage, I'm just not doing as much as I could be. I'm gonna stun that. No reason to let the bleed go through right here at the end. There's a big girthy beefy pull here, which I'm not sure if that's the right call because we could have done some of these afterwards and had a Bloodlust rolling for the last boss as well, because what we could have done was we could have skipped the 2 lava bearers. Basically, we would have done the 3rd boss sooner, and if we do the 3rd boss sooner, we have time to recover or get rid of Sated while we're moving to the last boss, and that way we can actually have more Bloodlusts in the same run. But as it is now, after having wiped on the 2nd boss, we're most likely not going to get a 3rd Bloodlust in the run. 13 minutes to clear the rest of the dungeon. I believe that is enough. We'll see if that does work out. I have to actually focus on doing some DPS now instead of commentating as much, so if there's less commentary for the rest of the dungeon, I do apologize, but I don't want to grief my team. Looking at the Bone Splitter to interrupt his Dragon Bone Spear. There we go, we're going to stun it. Looking at a Lava Flare now so that I can interrupt a melt. No reason to let those go through for free. Using my Beacon to the Beyond. And continue DPSing. I have a Blinding Light here available for the next Dragon Bone Spear so that none go through while we're fighting here. Dragon Bone Spear. There we go. Use the Blinding Light. And use my cooldowns here. I don't think, maybe it was a bit of a waste. Probably would have been better off using it on full health enemies downstairs. We are indeed jumping down. I'm going to kick this Lava Flare to make it move closer to us so that we can keep going. Give the tank Freedom. He was already moving quite quickly, so I don't think he needed that. I'm going to use Shield of Vengeance here because there's a lot of Lava Flares casting shit. This would be a good time to use some cooldowns, but I had to waste mine on the stuff up there. I wasted my interrupt as well because I cast it too late while trying to interrupt one of the melts. Using Divine Protection here because of the AoE damage from the blacksmiths and the odd melt going through and coming my direction. Okay, we're looking very good on percent, I think. I don't think we'll have to pull any extra shit. Do we need to step on the gas here? I think we're good. 12 minutes to fight this boss. We are using drums. Somebody already used it, beat me to it. We're going to drop all our cooldowns. The cooldown situation worked out. We're going to give Freedom to the tank. I'm not going to use anything here for defensives. I'm going to save it for the next one, because for the first one, I would assume that the healer does have something available. I moved away there to drop my swirlies far away from the group, so the group doesn't have to worry about it. Avoiding the swirlies now, we're going to give the Blessing of Sacrifice to our priest friend. I'm going to do Bubble because I was afraid for my life, to be completely honest with you, so I'm not going to use anything else. I did use Shield of Vengeance as well, but I just panicked and used everything. We're moving away. Shield of Vengeance will come in handy for this damage over time effect that comes in from the circle. Not playing perfectly, kind of panicking, but I'm just trying to be helpful to my group. So far, I haven't done anything that would disrupt them, actually. So I think I'm doing fine. I gave Blessing of Sacrifice to the Shadow Priest, using Beacon, Shield of Vengeance for this AoE phase. Still have a bit of the Shield of Vengeance that's going to come in handy for this dot. There we go, it just blew. Do have Lay on Hands available if anybody gets low from the next AoE phase. The boss will die during or after it. Looking at team's health bars. Okay, everything's fine. And the boss is dead. Very good. Who's the furthest away? It is the priest. We're going to give them Blessing of Freedom. That'll let them move a little bit faster. The tank did the little heroic leap up on the top here because he's really far ahead of us. Okay, we're doing another chain pull in the sense that we're going to use the chains to kill stuff. Okay, I was freaking out there, but this guy used Fade, which reduces your aggro range. He ran right next to the commander and was like, oh no, here we go. But it looks like we're skipping the commander, so all is well. Gonna do the little drop sideways so that we don't take fall damage. Should we be grabbing the bird? Do we grab the bird? Is bird the word? Okay, looking at this person. Blinding light here to interrupt those spears. Waiting for things to group up. We're gonna stun. I stunned the wrong target, but it's okay. Nobody got hit by the spear. Going to use our thingy thing here. Everything worked out. We have 6 stacks. That MD came in quick. We're good. We're going to use some healing. Keep us moving. That was good. That was a good chunk of percent right there. I can definitely dig. I like this route. I've not seen it before, but it makes perfect sense to me. Usually you would try to kill these blaze wings and whatnot with the chains as well, but I feel like it's a much safer pull to do what we just did. Use Shield of Vengeance here doing the knockback thing from the birdie. I'm going to save my beacon for the shield from the next mob. The Lava Master or Lava Mancer or whatever the hell they're called. Oof, trying not to walk through that. That would be very, very painful. Very, very one-shotty is what it would be. Yeah, there's the barrier. We're going to drop Beacon to the Beyond on that. Try and kill it as quickly as possible so that we don't have a bunch of ads to deal with. There we go. DK immediately interrupted it. I really like this group. These guys are really, really good. I keep wasting interrupts because they beat me to them, but getting freedom to the tank. 99%. I think we're going to skip the bird and just pull the Warden on the side. Okay, need 1%. They're probably aware of it. I think they want to do the boss first. Yeah, the priest says after, so we're going to do that after. And drop all my cooldowns, even though I won't have them from the shield break. I will have some of them for the shield break, and that's all I need. Just need some of them because I can't even put all of them through at the same time. I'm not going to go grab the treasures yet because my cooldowns are running, so I want to do as much damage as possible while my cooldowns are running. Give the tank freedom. Almost running out of cooldowns here, so I'm going to grab this. There we go. I'm going to put a stun down on that. Never mind if Asphyxiate is on it. We're going to drop a stun on it now to finish it off. There's the magma shield. I have a charge, which is very scary. I'm going to bubble and then use the charge. Looking at the healer, okay, we broke the shield all as well. I'm going to use as many cooldowns now as we can to do as much damage as possible because she takes extra damage from you while she's stunned after the shield break. That's why you want to usually hold your cooldowns for that. That would be ideal, but I decided not to, which was probably the wrong call looking at it now, but oh well, what can you do? I'm looking for a treasure somewhere in the room. That's one up there. I'm gonna grab this one. That's like the weirdest fucking spot I've ever seen it before, but that's okay. Okay, he's pointing it at me. I use Shield of Vengeance out of panic. I'm going to hold all my cooldowns for the shield break because the shield break's coming very, very soon. I have the casting thing, so don't have to worry about it. Finish off the ad, wait till the shield is cast. We're gonna drop everything on it. We're going to battle res so that he can deal damage during the burst phase. Trying to use as many of my heavy hitting cooldowns as possible so I get as much extra damage as I can. Okay, I did overcap on holy power, but managed to get all of my big hits in, so that's all that matters. We will have to do another shield break. I'm looking for treasures. I don't see any at the moment. I'm hoping some will spawn. Asphyxiate coming through on the mob. We'll have beacon for the next shield break, but I don't have any treasures to use for the next shield break, which is concerning. Using divine protection to try and remove some of that. Okay, she's stunned. We're gonna use beacon right away so that I do get it in. Healer's down. I'm trying to res them. Okay, they've already been battle res, so I don't need to do that. I'm going to use Shield of Vengeance here for the curse that I have from the treasure pickup. We're going to pick up the treasure. I don't know if we need another shield break or not. I am activating cooldowns now. I'm going to save my divine toll in case. I don't think we'll need the divine toll. We just drop everything. I think we kill her here. I'm going to stun this before the asphyxiate comes in because mine is a longer duration and we don't need to kill the ad. We just need to kill the boss. There we go. We go for a percent now. 3 minutes left for a percent. Why am I even freaking out, man? These guys are on top of their shit. Here, you focus the warden. It's counterintuitive because he has more health than the Llamamancer, but he has no shield. He doesn't, well, he has a shield obviously, but he doesn't have a molten barrier that you have to burn through. So you focus the warden, that way you get the 1% that you need faster because the other guy doesn't actually need to be killed for us to hit percent. So we're just focusing the warden. We're going to kick that and then we're just going to let it go through. Drop whatever cooldowns we have. We just want to kill him as quickly as possible. And there we go. That's 20 Neltharus. Well played. Sorry about second boss. And we got a cloak. Ask if anyone needs the cloak. I don't think anyone does. All right, that was actually a really, really good group. Holy shit. It's groups like these where I wish I wasn't doing a pug-only challenge. It would be so much easier. Because imagine, right now I finished that run. Everyone was feeling it, like everyone was in a good mood. We could have just stayed together and gone and done all the 20s this week. I wouldn't have had to struggle with another pug group. Speaking of pug groups, I got a fucking Underrot again. I was expecting this to happen. Now I'm gonna have to try and join somebody else's 20 key, which is probably going to be a struggle because nobody wants a fucking Ret Paladin. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I get into a group really quickly. We'll see what happens. But yeah, I'm going to try and join somebody else's group for maybe a Freehold, maybe a Vortex Pinnacle. A Vortex Pinnacle could be easier to get into because my best clear is a plus 18, but my best Freehold is a plus 17, so it's not much worse. The reason I'm floating those two as options is because those are usually like considered to be a bit easier, so people aren't as strict about what they invite. A Brackenhide, for instance, I can forget about joining somebody's 20 key for a Brackenhide. I'm probably going to have to host my own if I want to do a Bracken hide. But yeah, let's try and join somebody's VP or Freehold. I had a bit of a lunch break. Well, it's almost 7 p.m., so I should say it was a bit of a dinner break. But yeah, one thing I wanted to comment on, how evenly were we matched on the DPS? That's amazing. Everybody did 100k overall. That's awesome. I've very rarely seen that evenly matched DPS. That's really, really cool. That's just another cool thing. Wait, did the healer do no damage? Oh no, I just have to scroll down. I don't see the 6th person. Okay. Shit, even the healer did a good chunk of damage. That's nice. And of course, the true MVP, Neltharus weapon chains, or rather, Neltharus weapons, I think is what it's called. Hold on. Yeah. Damage done of Neltharus weapons. Burning chain. A lot of people had the wand. That's cool. But yeah, the burning chains did 162 million damage. They did more than anybody else. Okay, that's enough chit chat. I need to find myself a group for Freehold or VP20. All right, we managed to get into a Freehold. Somebody had the patience and the mercy to invite someone who hasn't cleared a 20 into a 20. Who would have thunk it? Those things do happen. Pulled the gun a little early there on the start of the dungeon, it looks like, but that's okay. I think the tank did manage to get his buff. No, he didn't, but that's okay. I don't use potions or anything at the start of these pulls or at the start of dungeons, so I don't really care. You can use potions of ultimate power right at the beginning, and that way you can reset the cooldown right away. I didn't manage to interrupt that, unfortunately, because there was a fucking title card or something in front of it, so I clicked on that instead of on the nameplate. That's very, very irritating, and I hope that doesn't happen. One thing that I noticed is that I need to use Wake of Ashes a lot more often, like a lot more often. I have not been using it enough, and that's something I'm going to try and improve this run. I've been trying to use it in conjunction, like together with my other cooldowns, and that seems to be a waste of DPS, to be honest. Giving the tank freedom. He didn't read my message at the beginning of the dungeon, so he tried to move out of the thing. That's unfortunate, but what can you do? Finish that off. We're going to tunnel into this enforcer, try to drop all our cooldowns on top of his head so that he dies quickly, so he casts the least amount of Shattering Howls possible. Kick that Healing Balm, switch back to the Enforcer. Yeah, the Shattering Howls are brutal. This is a really good time to actually use some defensives there. I'm doing some off healing while we wait for the boss to show up to save the healer some mana. We're dropping all our cooldowns because Bloodlust is running. I can use a defensive here because I'm at half health, so if he does his little shooty thing at me again, I might get taken out. This boss is very prone to one-shotting people. Or, well, not one-shotting, but he will shoot 3 times and target a random player, which, if it hits the same player multiple times, can actually kill them, especially on high tyrannical keys. 20 is not particularly high. It's high. Let's call it high, because it can potentially one-shot you here if the healer doesn't top you up quick enough. I'm using friendly health bars here to be able to see if there's anyone behind me. That way, if the Azurite powder thing, the frontal cone that he does, or the cone that he does, if that goes on me, I don't want it to hit anybody else. We have a person down. The Druid seems to have battle res them, or the Warlock, actually. I think it was the Warlock. Trying to make sure I stand in such a way where... Oh, bird is the word, man. The bird's, claiming some victims here. But yeah, again, trying to stand in such a way where if the cone goes on me, it doesn't hit multiple people. There were multiple people in a line, so they all got hit by the cone. Trying to see if there's anyone behind me. Make sure we interrupt that heal thing that he does. Still trying to make sure there's nobody behind me. I'm going to stand right here. That way I'm not standing in the thing, but if I get hit by the cone, nobody else does get hit by the cone. The cone went that way onto the priest. I'm going to give the priest a nice little heal right there with lay on hands. I don't want the priest going down. If the priest goes down, other people will go down. We're almost on with the boss. I'm not going to use any cooldowns here. Priest just went down, but once the boss dies, the priest will be able to release and spawn right here. So all is well. Just going to do some off healing. Okay, we are back at it. The Warlock says filthy bird. Okay, we're going to do the reset. Okay, we're doing the reset tech. So what you can do is, we have a Warlock. We could just use the Warlock gate. Warlocks are a rare breed indeed, I say. Okay, we're going to look at the Oarsman. We're going to stun this so that we don't have to worry about the charge going through and stunning a bunch of people, giving the tank freedom so that he doesn't have to move. We're going to go back to looking at the Oarsman here. Ooh, okay, that was dicey for a second there. Charge went through, didn't hit anyone. It doesn't look like. We want to focus the Oarsman because he's the highest HP, and he's also the most dangerous because of that knock-up thing that he does. See the Druid there, just experienced it firsthand. Luckily, the Druid was the person who got knocked up. He can take it. He's a big tanky boy in his welfare bear form. And that's a reference to my Druid series. I don't have Blessing of Freedom here to give. Unfortunately, I body pulled this. We're going to switch targets to this, and we're going to kick it. I trust the group to kick the more important cast, which is the Frost breath or whatever the hell it's called. Frost Blast. Okay, we CC'd it. Waiting for my cooldowns to come up, and then I'm going to drop all my cooldowns at the same time. Looking at the rat traps still. We have freedom, so we can step into these traps to remove them. Never mind, that last one I couldn't remove. I'm now rooted in an AoE. Sorry about that. Okay, great. I have the fucking Swabby debuff. Basically, whenever I jump, I have a chance of stunning myself. Looking at the cast bars to see if Frost Breath is coming through. Frost Blast, whatever. Frost Breath is coming through. I have to CC it. Never mind. The mage CC'd everyone for me, so I didn't have to do shit. I'm going to stun this one. Never mind, the mage is on top of things. We're just blasting it. Dropped my beacon to the beyond there just to use it. I want to use it on cooldown because I just have a bad habit of letting it sit off of cooldown for a very long time. I can actually turn off friendly health bars now. I don't need to see people's health bars. They are just a bit of clutter on my screen. Curious what we'll be doing next. We're clearing out these little guys. Luckily, they don't give you bursting. I think we're waiting on healer mana, and then we're going to go for this boss. That seems to be the case. We cleared out the patrol that comes all the way over here. We also cleared out the rat trapper, so we don't have to worry about that patrol. So we can just go straight to the boss. We're going to drop all our cooldowns here, which I'm very glad I saved. Giving the tank freedom, trying to stay on top of Eudora. There was a bug on my head, so I wasn't pressing any buttons, which I had to remove the bug from my head. What the fuck was that? Jesus Christ. And I mean, in real life, obviously. There's a blackout barrel. I don't have freedom to give, unfortunately. But what I can do is I can kill the barrel very, very quickly. That's what we'll try to do. Trying to take out the barrel. Person got knocked back because they got hit by the thing. I'm going to save my freedom for the barrel here. Moving to the left of Eudora, because she goes from her left to her right. Always goes clockwise across the room with her shots. So if you're ever in a position where you can't make it to her, you can at least make it to the side so you don't get hit by those shots. The first set of cooldowns coming in soon. Here they are. Blackout barrel is on Tasnica. I'm going to give them freedom now. I'm going to bubble here because I can't. I was trying to give them freedom. They went into a really weird direction off into the corner. So I had to stay in a weird spot to give them that. I had to use my bubble to make sure I survive. I just reflex gave the tank freedom. I'm going to use my movement speed ability because I was caught off guard by the jump. I wasn't paying attention to when the cooldown was coming up. Okay, we're trying to stand in the blue thing. Tank's trying to do the same. Very good. Blackout barrel on the mage again. Mage should move a bit further away. There we go. We're going to switch to that because I don't have freedom because I reflex used it when the tank had the thing. Tank should not have moved on top of the mage because the mage is going to get hit by that now. We're going to give it to the tank again, but for the next one I won't give it to the tank. By it I mean the Blessing of Freedom. Boss is almost dead. There's a blackout barrel. We're going to give it to the mage after he gets CC'd, like right now. There we go. That way there's no barrel left on the ground. If I pre-barrel him, or sorry, not pre-barrel, but if I pre-freedom him, the barrel gets left on the ground and people can step on the barrel and then they can CC themselves with the barrel inadvertently. I'm going to give Blessing of Sacrifice to the tank here. This is a spot where tanks often die. I'm going to drop all my cooldowns here. Crusher's coming in. I don't have freedom for this Entangled, unfortunately. I'm going to use Blessing of... I'm going to do... What the fuck? I'm using multiple things, so I'm having trouble conveying everything that I'm doing. I used Shield of Vengeance to reduce some of the damage coming in from Blessing of Sacrifice, and then I used Blinding Light to interrupt all the scrappers that were using Blinding Rage. If you didn't know, you can actually soothe Blinding Rage. It is an in-rage effect. Just make sure that the cast has gone through and that the channel started. Otherwise, you're just not going to do anything with your soothe. It's going to get wasted. There's another Blind Rage coming through. We're just going to stun that, even though the enemy is a low HP. I wasn't sure who they were going to target, so they could have turned around and smacked someone in the forehead. You're going straight down the middle. I've seen this route a few times before. I don't have any complaints about it. There is a lot of harpooners here, which makes it a little bit dangerous, but it's not like there's no harpooners on the side either. Okay, the Crusher's coming in. I have all my cooldowns ready, so I'm going to use all my cooldowns here. Boulder coming in. Got to move out of that. It's unfortunate. Mage went down. I think he got hit by the boulder, or he got hit by a harpooner or something, because the harpoon itself does quite a bit of damage as well. Freedom for the tank. This guy's got a lot of health left, so we're just going to drop Beacon on him. Fuck him. Okay, we started the encounter. That's good. Tank is choosing to pull the patrol. That's also good. I'm going to wait until the patrol is grouped up over here because I don't want to have to deal with accidentally pulling the group that's up above the thing. Tank interrupted the Frost Blast. I'll interrupt. Never mind, I won't interrupt shit. The mage is going to interrupt the Water Bolt. I'm going to use all my cooldowns here because there's no reason not to. Plenty of time between pulls here, so I have time to recover my cooldowns until the boss comes. This guy's going bananas in the background. We're going to move on to the next group. I'm looking for the Frost Blast here to interrupt. That might be coming up soon. There it is. We're going to interrupt it so I don't look bad in front of the mage. There's a blind rage coming through. We're going to stun that, giving freedom to the tank because the entangling went off. He accidentally pulled one of the deck hands. It doesn't matter as long as you don't accidentally pull the crusher when you don't need to. All is well. As you might say, all's well that ends well. I am trying to actively use Wake of Ashes whenever it's off of cooldown, because that seems to be the play rather than trying to combine it with the rest of your cooldowns. Gotta make sure I don't get hit by that ground slam. We have all of our cooldowns off of cooldown, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna just smash the bejesus out of this. We're pulling some brutes over here. I think that's okay. I think we might be a little bit overkill on percent at this point, because by the time the crusher's dead, and we can also pull some more deckhands over there, and by the time Ludwig von Tortollen is dead, we might have enough percent, but I don't know for sure. We have a Ludwig being pulled. I don't think the plan was to pull him, at least not by the tank, because somebody was just standing a bit too close to it. Again, using Wake of Ashes on cooldown. I got knocked back by a shell because I wasn't paying attention. Trying to finish off these little mobs before we switch over to Ludwig von Tortollen. I don't know why I insist on saying his whole name, but it's just cool. I mean, Ludwig von Tortollen. Bosch von Ronsenberg of Dalmasca. That means anything to you, we can be very, very good friends. I'm gonna just drop all my cooldowns. He has 4 million health. He's worth it. I will save my beacon for the... Actually, no, fuck it. I'm tired of saving things for things when they have long cooldowns. This guy can suck it. Ludwig von Suck It. We're gonna go over there. We're gonna train or taunt the training dummy so we can... Wait, no. Dude, you don't have Anvil. Take it easy. I am still traumatized by the Anvil gameplay. I do have Anvil, I just don't use it. I choose to use this instead so that I can actually focus on the commentary instead of constantly talking about the fucking Anvil. Alright, I don't have all of my cooldowns, but I will have them soon. So I will have them for the entirety of Bloodlust. Or rather, I'll have Bloodlust for the entirety of my cooldowns because I didn't use them too late. I just had to wait for Avenging Wrath before I could do anything else. That's a little bit of an annoying desync that the Paladin class has, where using Holy Power will reduce the cooldown of your Avenging Wrath or your Execution Sentence. So you'll end up with situations where you have your Final Reckoning or your Execution Sentence ready, but your Avenging Wrath isn't. It looks like we'll be able to use another set of cooldowns here in 5 seconds. There we go. We're going to drop everything on top of his ugly head. Trying to make sure I don't stand in such a way that there is a line between me and the shark that's currently active, because if that happens, then he will charge at me and beat the shit out of me with the charge. We will actually get a beacon on this boss as well. We're gonna... Oh, he's gonna punch me in the face and interrupt me, but we're gonna drop the beacon on him right here near the end of the fight, which works out. We're going to bubble so we can tank the hammerhead shark and the charge that I completely ignored, to be completely honest with you. I just wasn't aware of the hammerhead shark being on top of me, but it all worked out. I'm a paladin. Whenever I don't pay enough attention, I just use my bubble to get out of trouble. That's why I call it the trouble bubble. I think the first episode of the Paladin series is better... What was it? Better use my trouble bubble, or better use the trouble bubble. I don't know, something like that. Tank interrupted that. It's going to keep moving. We're looking at the other mage. Okay, we're going to look back to the first one because that's the first one that's going to cast the really big important cast, which is the Thundering Squall. We want to interrupt the Thundering Squall at all costs. We do have Blinding Light available as well. Ooh, we're going to use Blinding Light because I'm not targeting the one that's casting right now. There it is. We're going to interrupt it even though it was close to dying. I'd rather play it safe than be sorry. Another Sea Spout coming through. We absolutely melted this group. It feels like we had Bloodlust for it or something. We completely destroyed it. Interrupt that Painful Motivation. That's a bit of extra damage. It does do some damage to the guy as well, I think, but whatever. We're going to stun the Mastiff that has the Enrage effect still on it. The tank did soothe one of the Mastiffs. They Enrage and do extra damage and have extra attack speed. I think maybe we're missing a bit of percent. I'm not 100% sure though. I really don't want to use cooldown. You know what? I'm going to use my cooldowns. I'm a paladin. I have 1 minute cooldowns. Just use them. I accidentally used my stun on the officer, which did exactly nothing because you cannot stun the officers. Rule of thumb is anything that's level 70, or sorry, 71 or higher, you will not be able to CC with anything. Okay, use my Shield of Vengeance for the roar that was coming in, as well as the bursting. Time to fight Harlan Sweetie. If he puts the... we're kind of fighting close to this. I'm assuming people are going to use CC on that. If not, I do have my stun available. I have all my cooldowns in 3 seconds. We're looking to use those as soon as they come up. Alright. We have enough Holy Power. We have the Judgment debuff on him. We can use all of our cooldowns. We're going to stun this. I don't trust surviving that without the stun. Hopefully somebody does some follow-up CC on him. No, none will be happening. Okay, we got a something. I don't know what that was. I don't care. I'm just glad that it happened because otherwise I would have gotten blowed up, possibly. I don't know. Maybe I could have kited it, but then I think the tank would have had to deal with the damage from it. I don't have a stun for this here. Ursol's Vortex got used, so it's going to get pulled back. It is now CC'd again. I'm not sure what that CC is. I can't recognize it. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2, move. There we go. I'm trying to take up the least amount of space with this. I've probably explained this in every single video, but it's really good to just wait for the first 3 shots, then move, then wait for 2 shots, then move again. That way you take up the least amount of space. Making sure we dodge these tornadoes, and we have another set of cooldowns to drop on the boss's head. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2. We have another all hands on deck. I have a stun available this time. We're going to stun it. There's a bunch of stuff on the thing, but I'm glad I stunned it still because I believe whatever that is has to be casted. I still don't know what that is. I can't recognize the icon. Probably something that the priest has. I just genuinely don't know. 1, 2, 3, move. 1, 2. I had to move it again because I moved into somebody else's swirly for a second there. That was scary as fuck, but luckily the tank recognized that I needed to move and kept moving. Gonna give the healer, who is low on health, a blessing of sacrifice in case Harlan does his bullshit again. There we go. We executed it perfectly this time because I wasn't counting. I guess that makes me play better when I don't count it. 6 minutes, 40 seconds remaining. We have plenty of time to do this. I don't even know why I thought of looking at the clock. I felt good about this run the entire time. We have a man down. We're going to pick that priest back up if somebody else hasn't already done it. Very good. There we go. We're going to act like that never happened. Oh, we are missing just a tiny minuscule bit of percent. I think the Mastiff will take care of it, so we're just going to tunnel everything into the Mastiff. Everyone seems to be hitting it. That's good. Poor doggo is going to get the shit beaten out of it right before the end of the dungeon. Come on, Mastiff. Yay, there we go. Hey, nice. That was a +2. I thought it was only going to be a +1. That's awesome. Let's re-roll our key because we have a Underrot, which we've already done. So let's hopefully get something we don't. Halls of Infusion. Not ideal, but it's going to be a rough one. That dungeon really sucks on Tyrannical, to be honest, but we're going to get it done. Thank you for the run and the invite. These guys just blasted past me in the DPS. I'm curious now. Is Wake of Ashes further up on my damage done? It is, but Beacon to the Beyond is much, much lower. I think it's because I didn't cast it enough. 17 hits? That feels like a low amount. 7.12 million damage? I don't think that's a very low amount. It should be around 9, but we did finish the dungeon faster, so maybe I just didn't have enough chances to use it? I don't know. I definitely don't use unused trinkets enough. That's like a huge issue for me for playing Ret Paladin because I'm just not good at doing that. I'm good at using my rotational abilities and all that, like I can work out my rotation, but any longer cooldowns like that, it just messes with me. 2.5 minute cooldown, I don't know. Well, it's we seem to have sold something. Let us see. Skyless blouse, that's not bad. Almost 500 gold for that. I do have to admit the sales have slowed down quite a bit. I think it's because there's a bunch of people posting and the Dream Surge has been a very good source of gear for people. So most people just don't give a shit about the 376 and 379 greens anymore when they can just go do Dream Surges for a couple of hours from what I understand and get a bunch of gear. But yes, I believe this is the end of this episode. I think I did 3 runs. Yes? No? Let me check. I had an Oldemon cleared. Now I have a Freehold, a Neltharus, and an Underrot. Okay, 3 for 3. We didn't wipe on anything. Or sorry, we wiped on some stuff, but we didn't like fail any keys. That's pretty good. We also need to update our rating. We're now, instead of 2404 rating not found, we're now at 2434 with 38 runs. Very nice. And our best is actually a ++20 Freehold. There we go. Item level regrettably stays the same, but we are 1 more run away from getting our 4th aspect Shadow Flame Crust. As soon as we get that, we will craft something, and I think that's what's going to push us to 441 item level. Actually, we're not going to craft something. We're going to recraft something. We're going to recraft our belt because it actually gives us the most damage. It gives us strength. It gives us crit. It gives us the frostfire damage that the embellishment does. You can make an argument to also do the wrist because it gives haste, crit, and versatility, but I believe the raw damage from this will be a better increase. I don't think there's a huge difference between the two, but we're going to go for the belt first. And then after the belt is done, we're going to go for the bracer. Why? Because the bracer has strength. Once we're done with the bracer, we're going to go for the rings. Once we're done with the rings, we're going to go for crafted boots and then a crafted chest. Or sorry, I should say a crafted chest and then crafted boots, because the crafted chest will give us more stats overall, because 6 item levels more in stats on the chest is actually more stats than 6 item levels on a boot. If you enjoyed today's video, please do leave a like on the video. Let me know what you liked about it and a comment down below. If you keep coming back to the channel, even though you're not subscribed to the channel, please do consider changing that. I'd appreciate that a lot. But as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. That warlock kicked my ass in DPS.